I know that you did have some insecurities about your physical appearance, didn't you? When you were younger? Are we talking about my breasts? Yes, we are talking about your breasts. It's a candid moment, unfiltered and sharp, that cuts through Hollywood glamour. But for Salma Hayek, vulnerability has always walked hand in hand with strength. Her name might mean peace in Arabic, but her life has been a constant war against stereotypes, sexism, and silence. From soap operas in Mexico to the front lines of Hollywood, from enduring trauma to redefining what beauty and power mean in show business, this is the untold story of how Salma Hayek stopped being seen and started being heard. Salma Hayek was born on September 2, 1966, in Coatzacoalcos, Veracruz, a sun-soaked coastal town in Mexico. Her father, Salma Hayek, was a successful oil executive of Lebanese descent. Her mother, Diana Jimenez Medina, was a classically trained opera singer. It was a household filled with culture, education, and quiet privilege. But privilege doesn't shield you from struggle. From a young age, Salma battled ADHD and dyslexia. In classrooms, she felt out of place. Teachers often mistook her restless creativity for misbehavior. And when she was sent to a strict Catholic boarding school in Louisiana at age 12, things didn't improve. She clashed with nuns, pulled pranks, and was eventually expelled. Yet she never let her diagnoses define her. Instead, they forced her to find new ways to express herself, through emotion, through image, and eventually through performance. Her real emotional anchor, though, was her grandmother, Maria Luisa Lopez. Salma described her as the one person who made her feel seen, loved without conditions. That memory, she once said, shaped nearly every big decision she ever made. In her late teens, Salma enrolled at Universidad Iberoamericana to study international relations, fulfilling her parents' expectations. But her true passion was the stage. At 18, she took her first role as Princess Jasmine in a children's theater production. An experience so chaotic and isolating, she nearly quit acting altogether. But she didn't. In 1989, she took on the lead role in Teresa, a Mexican telenovela that turned her into a household name. With sharp wit, stunning beauty, and natural charisma, Salma dominated Mexican television. She had fame, endorsements, and power. And yet, she walked away from it all. Why would anyone abandon stardom? Salma visited Los Angeles in the early 1990s, intending only to take a short break. But when she saw how stagnant the Mexican film industry was for women, especially actresses with ambition, she made a life-altering decision. She stayed. The backlash was swift. Mexican tabloids accused her of abandoning her roots. Hollywood, meanwhile, offered no warm welcome. She was boxed into stereotypes, mocked for her accent, and asked in auditions, "Are you here to play the maid?" In Mexico, she was called a sellout. In Hollywood, she was called nobody. Where did she belong? Nowhere. But instead of shrinking, Salma sharpened. She studied under Stella Adler, the same coach who trained Marlon Brando and Robert De Niro. She memorized lines visually, using her dyslexia as fuel. She spoke slower, clearer. She refused to erase her accent. She was building herself in silence, alone, but not defeated. In 1995, Salma landed her first Hollywood breakthrough in Desperado, opposite Antonio Banderas. Director Robert Rodriguez recognized her potential and cast her as Carolina, a fierce, intelligent, gun-wielding bookshop owner. But behind the scenes, Salma was breaking. A sex scene, never in the original script, was added by studio request. Salma resisted. She had never filmed such a scene and felt blindsided. She cried repeatedly on set, unable to continue. "Not because I was ashamed of my body," she later said, "but because I was terrified of losing control." It took 8 hours to shoot what should have taken 1. Rodriguez and Banderas tried to be sensitive, but the emotional toll was undeniable. The final cut? Sensual. The reality? Scarring. That scene launched her into stardom, but at a price many actresses silently pay. In From Dusk Till Dawn, 1996, Salma played Santanico Pandemonium, a vampire queen performing a snake dance. There was just one problem. She had a crippling phobia of snakes. She wasn't told about the scene before signing the contract. When she objected, Quentin Tarantino, who wrote and co-starred in the film, said bluntly, "If you don't do it, we'll replace you." No rehearsal, no stunt double, just a woman trembling, praying, and performing, because saying no wasn't an option. Yet what the camera captured was legendary. The dance became an instant classic, cementing her as a sex symbol. But for Salma, it was a symbol of something else: fear, endurance, and the courage to perform anyway. In 2002, everything changed. Frida, a biopic about Mexican artist Frida Kahlo, wasn't just another role. It was Salma's mission. She fought for years to get the project made, facing rejection after rejection from Hollywood studios who couldn't imagine a Latino female lead carrying a serious film. When it finally released, Frida was raw, bold, and unapologetically political. It earned 6 Oscar nominations, including Best Actress for Salma, making her the first Mexican woman in 50 years to receive that honor. But off camera, she was fighting another war. In a New York Times essay, Salma revealed she had been sexually harassed by Harvey Weinstein throughout the making of Frida. Her words hit hard. "Men harass because they can. Women are speaking out today because finally we can." Her voice helped propel the Me Too movement forward, and Frida became more than a film. It became a statement. After Frida, Salma's career evolved. She starred in Once Upon a Time in Mexico, Ask the Dust, Savages, Grown Ups, and The Hitman's Bodyguard. She voiced animated favorites like Puss in Boots and The Pirates, Band of Misfits. Her range was unmatched. But her most daring leap came in 2021 with Eternals. At 55, Salma became the first Latina superhero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. As Ajak, she led a cast of immortals, proving once and for all that age, ethnicity, and gender couldn't define what a superhero looks like. "This is the moment I feel proud to be who I am," she said. "To be Latin, to be a woman, to be someone once rejected for all those reasons." Off-screen, Salma's life has been filled with quiet heartbreak and profound love. She dated British actor Edward Atherton in the late 90s, then Edward Norton from 1999 to 2003. They were intensely private. "We did thousands of things and no one knew," Salma once said. After a brief relationship with Josh Lucas, she found real peace in French billionaire François-Henri Pinault, CEO of Kering. They married on Valentine's Day 2009 in Paris. The couple welcomed their daughter Valentina in 2007, when Salma was 41. "She's my late arriving miracle," she said. Despite her husband's immense wealth, Salma remains financially independent. She doesn't have a prenup. "I like the pressure to earn," she said. To her, success isn't luxury, it's freedom. Today, Salma Hayek has over 20 million Instagram followers. She posts unfiltered selfies, speaks candidly about aging, and reminds the world that resilience is the real beauty. She's won awards, earned global acclaim, and shattered ceilings for Latinas in Hollywood. But her true legacy isn't fame, it's dignity, because Salma Hayek didn't just act her way to the top, she endured her way there. And in doing so, she gave every girl named Peace permission to fight and win their own war. Thanks for watching.